fucking terrorist, a fucking pedophile, sympathizing fucking terrorist.
way it goes. I cannot turn close, staying on the low. I've been protecting my soul. If your intentions are not pure, I can't let you get too close. Cause I'm vibrating high. Ain't got time for your ego. These niggas quit to turn me back. Acting like the amigos, he never cared in the shows. Wasn't with you at your lows, assuming that you gonna fold. But baby, I've been growing ever since I let you go. And I've been doing better, and I know that hurts to know. Hurts to know. Only good vibes around me, and that's for sure. Me good vibes, good vibes. Good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes. Good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. Can't lie. Only need good vibes, good vibes. Good vibes, good vibes. You see me searching for my inner peace. I've been learning more about myself and my purpose. Truth always come to the surface. Was hurting, but I had to heal. Releasing all the pain that I always held. Been going through some changes, I'll make it still. Protecting my soul to keep it real. Only need good vibes, good vibes. Good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes. Good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. I can't lie. Only need good vibes, good vibes. Good vibes, good vibes.
All right. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Hello today. Let's make sure you hear me. Let's see. All right. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. It is, what is it? Friday, January 9th. January 9th, 2026. We're just so well into the new year already. Like we're almost halfway through January. Can you believe it? But that's where we are. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to see you. I'm just looking at the chat real quick. All right, so let me say hello to everybody. I guess Deb731 is here. Critter Mama. We got Miss Pie Crust, Adrian, Emily. We got Critter Mama, Heavy Metal Rehab, Carol, Nicole Watt, Caden Christian. We got It's a New Day. Hey, what's up? It's a New Day. We got Heavy Metal Rehab. I said hi. Christopher. We got Dieter. What's up, Dieter? What's we got in here? Quad's in here. We got Mark Ellis. Hey, Mark Ellis. We got the props here. Other props here. Okay, we got who else in here? Live. On the live. You got Quad Goddess is here. Hey, what's up, Goddess? All right. Deb. I see all you guys. What's up? Thanks for being here today or tonight. I know, depending on where you are, I guess. High Rights is here. What's up? Don Mess is here. What's up, Amy Dunn? Swade Smith. Hello. Okay, we got Hebby Brown. And hey, who knows who else I missed? If I missed you, apologize for that. Just go ahead and say hello in the chat, and I'll remember you're here. And hey, guaranteed, no matter what, you can bet your bottom dollar. We got lurkers. Okay, what's up, lurkers? Barbara Borman's here. We got Barbara Borman. Hey, so we got lots of friends here. So you guys, just let me know if anything pops up, any glitches or any weird stuff. Let me know. Snoop Sloot's here. What's up? MSW8839. What's up, everybody? Yeah, Friday night, right? This is the Friday night show. And honestly, I don't feel the most excellent, so I almost said, oh, I can't do it. But I figured, no, we'll make do. We'll make do tonight. What's up, Shaza Sheenan? What's up? I'm glad to see everybody. And hey, that also goes for everybody on the replay because, hey, I might not know that you watch, but if you leave a comment down below, I'll absolutely know it. And I'll probably respond to you or at least give you a little like on your comment. So please leave a comment down below and let us know what you think of what we're going to be discussing tonight. What's up, Christina? Hey, Christina. Everybody go subscribe to Christina and Adrian's channels, please. I don't know if y'all would drop my links for Christina and Adrian. And also True Crime Design and Rotting Jewels and anybody else in the chat that I missed, New Day, drop all their links. Let everyone see our family here. But good to see everybody. Boy, do we have a lot to discuss tonight. Tonight is essentially going to be a part two uh, of our last or previous show, which was titled "An Inconvenient Truth." Okay, so this is sort of a part two. We're going to pick up. There's been some new developments, and we'll be talking about that later. It's called Delphi and the Troll Farm: Conspiracy to Murder. And tonight you're going to find out why it's called that. And anyhow, I appreciate all of you being here. Tonight as well is going to be a fundraiser for myself. And here's how this is going to work. So this Friday, we're doing a fundraiser for me, the prof. Next Friday, we'll be doing a fundraiser for Noe Amos, Noe. And then the following, we'll be doing a fundraiser for Rick Snay. Okay. So what we're trying to do in the next month or for the rest of the month is every Friday sort of make a push to raise funds for our friend circle. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing tonight, and we'll be discussing some really concerning information. And hey, what do I have to say? Let's see. So since our previous show, like I said, the An Inconvenient Truth, the previous live stream, I must let you all know that the harassment has ratcheted up. Okay, the telephone harassment and the harassment of family members of mine. So apparently, my previous show upset some persons who obviously have something to hide because in the past days since that live show, well, let me actually say it in the way that you should hear it, which is that in the course of my previous live stream, as soon as I began discussing this conspiracy between the Indiana State Police and the Troll Farm and the biker clubs, um, uh, a a round of telephone harassment started uh, in the course of that, in the middle of that previous live stream, attempting to throw me off course in the presenting of it. And in the days following, or in the previous days here, we've had another round of telephone harassment and harassment of family members of mine. So that should tell you that there are some people who don't want us here discussing what we're discussing and are trying all they can to intimidate me and my family. And I am undeterred, though. I'm not going to be intimidated into silence, and you're going to find out why tonight, because this is going to be especially concerning and revealing, and that's what that is. Um, there's also been some things happening in regards to the actual investigation that is going on by us out here in civilian society uh, around this case. Uh, I think that the fruit of many years of labor is beginning to come together, and the sphere of possibilities for what happened to Delphi is truly shrinking. And what's odd about that is as this inner circle begins to hone in on where the evidence leads, both from discovery, from behind the scenes, from the community at large, and all of the above, um, it's become apparent that the public has really been led astray or steered off course in terms of this thing, and uh, and I must say, even by the defense team of Richard Allen, it seems as though the defense team has unwittingly steered the public off course as well, due to their defense strategy and the information that they leaned on. So this is becoming really concerning, and we are pleading with the federal authorities to please look into the multifacets of this case. And what I mean by that is, please, FBI, look at the crime that happened. Look at the crime. The crime needs to be looked into, okay? And then the social media aftermath needs to be looked into. And then the various homicides that have occurred need to be looked into. And in particular, we're talking about um, Greg Ferenczi, okay? We know that at this point, the Shane Meehan prosecution is underway, and I think that all of us need to refocus our sights on this Shane Meehan case, okay? And also, the Todd Click is underway. So I think our our call out to the feds is, please, you need to be looking at many facets of this case. Again, the crime itself needs to be deeply looked into by the federal authorities, okay? The aftermath on social media from 2017 to current day needs to be looked in exhaustively by the feds, okay? The actions of the state actors in this prosecution of Richard Allen, meaning law enforcement and the prosecutor and judge in this entire legal process with Richard Allen, needs to be looked into by the feds. Okay. And finally, as I mentioned, the Shane Meehan prosecution, the murder of Greg Ferenczi, and the current attacks on Todd Click, as well as the questionable resolution to the Mitch Westerman and Robert Fortson deaths. Okay, the Mitch Westerman charges being dropped and the aftermath of that, and then the Robert Kyle Fortson deaths. Okay, death. That all of these things need to be looked into exhaustively by the feds. This needs to be turned inside out. And after tonight, you're going to understand a little more as to why this all needs to be deeply looked into. And it's our optimism that says that it may be beginning to be looked into at this point. Okay, but this is a serious issue, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to be extremely intolerant of anyone in the chat who is countering my narrative. So this is the way I want the mods to do. Anyone comes in here disrupting, get them out of here immediately. We accept no compromise in this chat. Anyone countering my narrative in the chat needs to be booted the fuck out immediately. We're not going to be debating with you any longer, any of you. Okay? That's the way it's going to go. This is a dictatorship, and proudly so. And the tolerance levels are slimming because this is becoming a matter of urgency, right? A matter of well-being, physical well-being, mental well-being, and life or death. And so we're no longer going to tolerate dissent in the chat. And so, yes, this will be a fascist undertaking, just like they say. Okay. So, with that being said, I want to describe what we're getting into tonight. What we're getting into is the very recent revelations. Okay. Only days in. We're only days into this revelation that this is far worse than any of us thought. Okay. Far worse than any one of us has thought, especially myself. Okay. We're very well aware that there was an intense movement to try to harass a bunch of us off the case, right? I mean, you've seen it happen with people before. There's been a very big push to harass people off of the case, to frighten people off of the case by going IRL. Okay, and we know that that has happened. Many creators have been pushed off of this case and into fear, which has caused them to flee into fear. Okay, um, or flee in fear. And let me just say, this is where we thought it stopped, but it's worse and worse day by day. And what has recently surfaced is that there was a criminal conspiracy to murder yours truly, the prof. Okay. And this is not a joke. It's nothing I take lightly. It's nothing I would say here without knowing for sure that that has occurred. And we're going to discuss tonight some of the evidence of that, and it's really startling. And what it appears is that there was an effort to an effort set afoot, okay, to hire a biker club to perform a hit over here in Colorado, okay? And this was going to go two ways. Part one is there was going to be an attack on Noe Amos in Indiana. And during the course of that attack, what was going to happen is he was going to be beat. Several ounces of methamphetamine were going to be planted on him. His DNA was going to be placed amongst uh, the drugs, the bag of drugs, and he was also going to be uh, set up with equipment such as baggies and a scale and that sort of thing. And part two of this scheme was that simultaneously over here in Colorado, there was going to be a hit undertaken. Um, and so we're going to be discussing and looking at some of this. Okay. Now, this is what I mean by my call out to the feds. This has moved into the territory of absolute seriousness. Okay. If we do not get a federal investigation looking into all of this nearly immediately, there's a possibility that others may lose their lives and that these individuals will not only destroy all the evidence, but relocate and change identity so that they will never be found. This is of utmost urgency. Everyone knows that Delphi needs to be looked into. Everyone knows that the Indiana State Police and the prosecutor's office and the staff at Westville, or the former staff of Westville, notice how convenient it is that they've all moved on and conveniently resigned. Everyone know that these all need to be looked into, and I believe the attorneys, all of the above, whether it's the attorney orbiters, whether it's the attorneys involved, they all need to be looked into. And like I said, over here in the social media sphere, everyone needs to be looked into. Devices need to be subpoenaed uh, or confiscated, search warranted. The various social media platforms, including Discord especially, and Telegram, need to be looked into. Okay. And let me give you guys another little nugget since I just remembered to mention Telegram. Everybody needs to be absolutely certain of one thing that that I have discovered over time, which is every single person behind the scenes that have colluded to do all of this in this community since the time of Richard Allen's arrest, they all have used Telegram exclusively. Okay, so although they might be on Discord or Twitter or YouTube, the fact is Telegram has been the number one platform or means of communication for all of them. So Telegram needs to be subpoenaed for each and every one of these individuals behind the scenes and probably in the prosecutor's office or the judge's office. Okay. So that's the subject matter of our show tonight. Delphi and the Troll Farm, conspiracy to murder. And I know it sounds like a lot. Trust me, I'm not happy about it. And and so what we're going to do is take a look at a bunch of stuff. Um, and we're going to start with our whistleblower, as I referenced in the last or the previous live stream. Necessary Evil, our whistleblower, has been a very reluctant whistleblower. Okay, don't get it twisted. Necessary Evil has barely touched upon the truth of the matter, only giving slight drips and indications of the magnitude of all this, and nevertheless, uh, enough is there, and I think it's primarily because uh, there's a whole bunch of what you would say covering one's ass. Okay, so I think what we truly do have on our hands here are multiple criminal conspiracies, and these are called RICOs. Okay, we've got multiple layers of RICOs going on here, whether it be in terms of state actors in Indiana, whether it be the criminal element in Indiana who are operating here on the internet, whether it be the other people on the internet that were tied to the Keegan Klein Dropbox and such, uh, or whether it be the biker clubs. I think there's several layers of criminal conspiracies at play, and although it doesn't make sense and you would never expect it, this is Delphi. Okay, so for the new people, when they say "Welcome to Delphi," it's crazy. Don't catch the Delphi mind virus. What they are trying to indicate to you is that so absolutely insane and chaotic that you have no clue. Okay, because little did I know a couple years ago when I stepped into this arena that it would end up in a conspiracy to murder simply over my speech and my use of this platform. Okay, and as you can see, Noe, uh, he was stalked, harassed, and intimidated for the similar reasons. Okay. There's a sound problem. Look, I'm sorry I can't do anything about it. If you can't hear me at all, I'll just have to end the stream. But there's not much I can do on the run. I mean, other than get closer. So that's what we're going to be looking to or into tonight. Um, but good news regarding Noe. Uh, Noe's got 5 days. Okay. 5 days until Noe is on back. Okay. So everyone get your countdown, get your countdown started. We have 5 days till Noe returns. So it'll be really great to see him, and that's on the 14th of the month. Okay, so yeah, like I said, in a week after he's out a couple days, we'll be doing a little fundraiser to try to send him off on a good foot. Okay, so Friday we'll do a fundraiser for Noe. So that's what we're going to be doing, and 5 days for Noe. So tomorrow's day number 4. So we look forward to that. All right, and everyone, I'm sure he's going to watch this show. I'm going to encourage him to watch this show. So let him know in the chat that you guys will be happy to see him. Let me see. I'll put this up. All right, Miss Pycrest says, "Woohoo, Noe." All right. Foxy Lady says, "Hey, Noe." All right. Thank you, Deb. Deb gives a super chat. Thank you, super chatting, Deb. All right. What's up? It's a new day. Says it's sound is perfect. And Critter Mama says, "Congrats, Noe." All right. So let's give Noe let me give him a party horn just to annoy the haters and to celebrate Noe, right? All right. That one's for Noe. All right. All right. Good to see. Good to see. Thank you, y'all. Adrian says, "Hello, Noe." And Snoop Sleuth says, "I'm sure he'll have a lot to say too." Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see him on next Friday, and he can join us, if he feels like it. So yeah, that's what's up. Thanks everybody. He'll see that. Okay. Good, good, good. All right. Okay, so we're going to do somewhat of a two-parter tonight, as usual. You know, that's kind of the way I do things. Um, but the first thing we're going to look at is that our whistleblower has made a follow-up video, okay, statement. And so what we're going to do is I have printed a transcript, and we're going to be diving deeply into our whistleblower's video statement, and we're going to pull it up and kind of go through it with a fine-tooth comb to try to gain a little more insight into this overall, and um, and that's how we're going to kick it off. Okay, so that'll be the first thing we're doing, and after that, we're going to look at uh, we're going to take a look back at some tie-ins to this. Okay, because what we really want to do is establish the context for all of this. Who are these people? Where have they been mentioned before? How do they relate to this entire thing? And how does this tie in to the attempt to have the defense removed that occurred shortly after the releasing of the Franks memorandum? So, for all of you who are those of you who don't recall the sequence of events, remember when the Franks memorandum dropped, okay, into the public here or onto the world, it was a nuclear bomb. Okay, when that nuclear bomb went off, um, a whole bunch of events precipitated. Okay, there was the sudden striking down of several YouTube creators and erasing of their channels. Okay, there was the death of Robert Fortson. Okay, there were the mass leaks of crime scene photos and other discovery and investigative product, and there was then the attempt using all of that to kick the defense off first by contempt, and then well, no. First, the judge forced them to step back, as you all recall, you know, and then when the Supreme Court uh, placed the defense back onto the case and removed Scrimmon and Libredo, then the prosecutor himself and all of these YouTubers, who are these same YouTubers that are tied up in this, colluded to perform a second attempt to remove them through contempt. And you guys will all remember that the March 18th contempt hearing was extremely concerning, and there was a lot of disclosure that came about regarding the YouTubers, the employees of Judge Gull, and Nicholas McClellan. Okay. So it's funny that this exact same circle of individuals have been behind absolutely all of it and have been behind all the harassment, and turns out the conspiracy to murder and the conspiracy to set up Noe. Okay. So when we are finished tonight, when we're done, hopefully you all will have your minds wrapped around this group in a really good way. Okay. So that's the attempt. So we're going to get that started with looking at this most recent statement from our whistleblower. Okay. And that's how we're going to go. And then we're going to take it from there. So, anyway, just give me a moment and I'll pull this up, and we'll get rolling. All right. So, thank you, CJ Laz. All right. So, this starts. Um, All right. We're going to be skipping around in this so it doesn't take us all night because there is a lot to it. Um, and we don't want to spend all night on it, okay? So he says, I need to clear the air about what's been going on lately and what has happened in the past. There's been a lot of conversation that's being talked about. Not that it makes a difference, but this is over a year old that all of this has transpired. Um, I think it was like a year or more ago when I destroyed the other channel, and I was getting ready that same night or the next, which was my last live. I was going to be on any of my channels, and oh, it looks like I did a bad job processing this transcript because I'm suddenly seeing some of the words are cut off. So let me see. Let me do this. I'm going to have to pull this one down. It didn't format properly for the whatchamacalls. So let me get it back going. Let's see. I'm going to try it again. Let's see. All right. Well, we have to do this. All right, that should be easy. Reformat it. I'm going to pull this one up. Sorry about that. I'm going to pull it up again. Let's see. There we go. That's better. Yeah, just a little mistake I made. All right. So he says, let's see, let me remove this banner. All right. He says, though, that that they're going to attack him and dox him, and he says every bit of that I presented was true. You see in the middle of the page here, every bit of it is true. And people don't realize, why would I implicate myself in this whole matter if it was not true? Okay. I don't know certain perspectives of the whole thing. I really can't say too much. Nobody ever wanted to believe me. And I'm not going to get into it. I did think that the live stream with Tony Klein's wife helped in some way. Okay. In other ways, it did not turn out good. Okay. So we're going to skip some of this, and I want to get to where more is said. Let's see. And he says, he wanted to destroy this entire community and let some decent people rebuild it from scratch because it's all toxic and nasty and disgusting, this whole thing. And the fact that now it's not just two little girls, but six girls, meaning the Flora girls and the Delphi girls, and uh, and that anybody ever comes into this community and that's all they think of when they think about those girls is they got murdered and all this effed up shit that happened behind the scenes. Okay. I get why everybody has their own different opinion about who did this or what, but while still some certain things get explained, I can easily just pick apart most of the case from the timeline to the witnesses. I don't do this to make people think he's innocent, and I don't do it because I have to do it both ways. Once you legally eliminate most of the evidence or downgrade the hell out of it, uh, I could go on, but you know, technically, um, we all know that if you die or vanish before you get indicted and convicted, that your appeals and your appeals have run out. It's a weird thing how your appeals and all that runs out. Technically, you're still kind of considered innocent a little bit. Okay, they don't talk about that. And if you were to die before a subsequent time period happens, and your slip will be completely clean, basically. Think of how many crimes where they caught the killer basically with genetic genealogy. They didn't catch any killers until long after the killer himself was already dead. And I mean, you know, on and on and on. And he said, all the evidence is circumstantial, low quality circumstantial evidence against Richard Allen. Okay. Uh, and he says, it's not like fingerprint or DNA analysis or any of this evidence. And he says, I don't trust the police with the investigation they did. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't trust the team either. They collected evidence and tested in the first place. Okay. He said, Mr. Steve went out to the crime scene one night pretty soon after the crime, and he sprayed luminol. And he said, he sprayed luminol all over the place and it lit up like New Year's Eve. So you're telling me that the forensic team tested every single bit of every trace of human DNA, just not buying it. They didn't collect the sticks, for God's sakes. They didn't even collect the sticks. Are you going to tell me somehow this guy's DNA is not in the blood? Remember all that blood? It's a very violent physical crime. There should have been something there. And he goes on to talk about the confessions and all of this. And, but he says most of the creators on YouTube, they either reject him, use him, try to use him as some sort of weapon or something, or just he kind of betrayed him. Okay. Now, what Charles or Necessary Evil seems to really indicate is that he's highly concerned with these individuals surrounding Tony Klein. Okay. Not Tony. I'm sorry. I apologize. That's a speech error. I meant Keegan Klein. It appears to me that it is this group protecting Keegan Klein, the group who have surrounded Keegan Klein with a layer of protection, is who seem to be at the center of all of this. Okay, as far as this nexus to the state police and the biker clubs. And he said, Prof has offered me all along to have me in shows and Snay and this and that and the other. and Alex. Um, but yeah, he turned it all down, and he said none of these people involved in this situation um, they they weren't even around. A lot of people who have been harassing him were not even around when this incident we're going to be discussing tonight took place. Okay. Um, and I'm going to skip ahead a bit. And he says, Tyler Carpenter, the moment I first met him was like a Mark Cohen, you know? It was like, they seem all right. I'll work on being their friends and this, that. But when you're terrorized by someone, when you have a memory like his, it's almost like torture because it doesn't matter if it's months down the road or whatever. Somebody says a specific thing or whatnot, you don't forget it. So when these things start changing, uh, things keep blipping and you're trying to figure out an answer to some sort of mystery. And it starts dawning upon you that you know exactly where the BS has been coming from in the first place. And usually it's one of these bad people. Okay. And he said, I think I stopped right off the bat simply like a bad vibe. You give me a bad vibe straight up. And he says he seems like he was after one specific thing. And he says, we did what had to be done to get this guy out of the picture. And we're talking about Tyler Carpenter. And he says, the only time I entered the same place where another member was doing something was right after Tyler flipped out and got doxxed or whatever, flipped out. And the Discord, somebody posted, they were not just going to name them, believe it or not, but I still have my loyalties to a lot of people. And when I clicked the link, I wanted to start trouble. I wanted to troll the hell out of Prof, but I get there in the Discord and him and Tyler Carpenter was talking about, it sounded like Prof was telling Tyler to dox everybody in our server, more or less, to saving his own ass. So let me stop there because I'll correct that because that's not correct. This attempt has been made to cast me as a doxer or as a terrorist or a threat in this community. It's not the case at all. So let's very clearly explain this. Why, Prof, have you named certain individuals? Why, Prof? Well, let me ask you guys. Okay, let me ask you this. Let's say you start having unhinged, insane, mentally unwell individuals harass you at home, harass you on the internet, harass your family members, and this sort of thing. Day in, day out. Let's say they're threatening to kill you or hurt your children. Would you want to know the individual's identity? Meaning the people who were behind those anonymous accounts? I think you would. I think you would. I think if there were people literally harassing and threatening you and your children and your extended family members, sending shit to your house, calling your cops, doing all kind of weird shit, getting SWATs rolling towards you and all this sort of stuff, would you want to know who they were? Especially now in retrospect, understanding that these people are literally going to the extent of conspiracy to murder. Would you not want to know the identities of these people? And maybe reveal it to the world so that should something happen to you, that the world would know where to start looking, and maybe law enforcement would know that you were saying this guy named such and such is coming after you? So all of this whole concept of I'm an evil person because I've named people behind anonymous accounts, it's bullshit. I've named people perpetuating criminal harm and directing that towards me. Those are the people I've named. And since they like to play games, semantic games, let's be clear on this. Tony Klein was a POI in this crime. Anyone who appears in his filings on my case does not have the same degree of privacy as a normal person who's off all over in the world, who's never stepped foot on the internet or never stepped foot in the household of any of these POIs who have been discussed. Jerry Holman told you that Tony was a POI, right? And the entire community has known it for years. So no matter what, this whole concept of Prof doxes people is bullshit, okay? I expose criminal aggressors who have come after me, and I discuss people related to the POIs in this case. Now, regarding this situation in Discord, there was never the demand that anyone be doxxed. Tyler and I asked Tyler for a list of people who were attacking me. And Tyler gave up that list of people. Okay? And it's funny because the very list he gave me was very accurate in that I had already known it was somewhat of a test for Tyler to see if he'd be honest with me at the moment. Well, little did I know that Tyler himself was the greatest threat to my well-being. So let me continue. Let's see. Okay. Hey, thank you, Mark. Thank you. That's very nice and appreciated, Mark. Thanks for being here. Let me just say another thing before I move on, because I just remembered this. By the way, for anyone wondering how Tyler Carpenter's name came into my possession, look solely at the knot, okay? Because if you were to go back to the cranks when the knot existed and was open to the public, you could probably dig in there and find the cranks doxing Tyler to the Discord after they kicked his ass out numerous times, including posting his name, his address, his photographs, and all of the above. Okay, photographs of his wife. All right. So you want to know how I discovered that Tyler was a person? The knot. Okay. So we'll clear that one up. But he says, Bossy. I'm not sure I honestly remember what Bossy thought. Nobody agreed with me. Like I said in the email, Ruckus didn't seem to disagree with me at the same time. He wasn't, just like I think I made my point that was they wanted to me to use the police as a way to make sure these women weren't hurt or Tony Klein wasn't doing anything bad. And I told him, see, the problem with that is when you rely on police officers, they respond. So they won't know anything about anything happening until these people are already dead. And they're responding to it to investigate. And that's what I said. I'm like, cops are just responders. They're first responders. I'd rather use something that's like taking the initiative instead. You just constantly keep an eye on the people like they should be doing in the first place to make sure nothing happens to them. And yeah, I had the two ladies followed by the outlaws. And then I had Tony Klein followed by the outlaws. No harm was supposed to come to them or anything else. From what I know, my own personal correspondence with the people that were following him, meaning the outlaws, the cops were there. In other words, the cops were there too. Okay, so what he's saying here is that as he discussed with these bikers, what's going on as they're surveilling Tony and these ladies, that It's not just the bikers sitting there watching Tony and the ladies. It's like right here where I'm pointing. The cops were there too. So it's not like, anything weird was going on. It's just more like keeping tabs. And yeah, constantly somebody had an eye on Tony Klein. Trust me. And I'm talking about as in law enforcement. Because when all this was going down, sure enough, it was him and Keegan were doing here. They were the persons of interest. They were everything, blah, 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 blah. It didn't make sense to me. I did make that massive post or whatever saying why it couldn't be Keegan, or I tore apart the voice. I tore apart what the guy looked like. I even said he's too short to be Tony Klein. The voice is too deep to be Tony Klein. There's no way Tony or Keegan Klein or Bridge Guy, period, is what he says. I say that I just think on the show the other morning, he says, objection, Bridge Guy has a neck. He cannot be Keegan Klein. Yeah, but you know what? I wonder if law enforcement thought it was Keegan Klein when they were trying to pressure Rayleigh Voorhees into agreeing that she saw that young guy sketch. You guys all remember that, right? You know what? I got to fly off the cuff here. Let me remind you of that, because this is extremely concerning, right? Right. Let me show you this. Because, everyone likes to disappear the relevant talking points, but this has appeared in several of my past live streams, right? This is Doug Rice. Doug Rice saying, guess what? On March 8th, 2020. Guess what? On March 8th, 2020. What? So Riley's mom reached out to me yesterday. Law enforcement interviewed her again within the last several months, which would have been the first months of 2020, January, February, March of 2020. They interviewed Rayleigh again and basically tried to get her to agree the recent sketch, the young guy sketch, is who she saw. When she didn't go along, they told her she wasn't a credible witness. Yeah, and I have a question. How much was done immediately at the beginning of trial to force Rayleigh into saying the things that she said regarding the potential girls that she witnessed, or whatever she might have witnessed? But that's neither here nor there. We're getting off track, but okay. But he says, a while ago, and this is where he tries to, and see, the thing, this always bothers me, okay? So this bothers me about this angle, because this entire group of people have tried to tie Richard Allen really illogically to these relationships with the people, whether trying to tie Richard Allen to Keegan, trying to tie Richard Allen to Tony, trying to tie Richard Allen to Ron Logan. It's really bizarre the lengths they'll go to try to tie Richard Allen to anybody, when it's absolutely clear Richard Allen's tied to the Patty family. Okay, there's zero doubt in that. They try to tie him to Derek Jerman. Well, how about this? What about that photo of Kathy with Becky's sister at the bar that the entire town frequented? Okay. But he says, yeah, that Richard Allen worked at the auto plant with Tony Klein, and Richard Allen was on the custodial, and Tony was on the actual production line. And we knew he worked at a CBS near where the Kleins lived in Peru. Again, this is just these real failed attempts to connect him to anything. Where's the direct evidence? How about the other individual who's in that Klein household? Are you telling me Richard Allen was in the Klein household? Well, you could also make the connection between Richard Allen and like a Brad Weber, and it's a small town, and whatever you say, it's a small time town. Yeah, right. Exactly, exactly. This is my argument. A small town, like Richard Allen's tied to everyone in some fickle way, but it doesn't mean that he's tied to this crime. But you know what's a lot more indicative? That whoever planned to meet those girls that day and kidnap them and take them away and sell them or do a sexual assault or something to them, that's what makes sense. Okay. So I would say, why don't we look at the Anthony Shots account that lured the girls out there, or at Logan Holder, who might have been part of agreeing to meet the girls out there, who had knowledge that those girls were going to rendezvous at that point in time, in space and in time. Okay. He says, I'm just literally saying, I guarantee you, I've been doing this since I was like 6 years old, including my own problems with the law. And he says, I was questioned myself for multiple murders. Funny, I'll let your imagination run wild with that one. But I don't think there was enough physical evidence. The police had to convict Richard Allen. Not on the best of days. I just don't see it there. Okay. And he says, I know it's him. If he's a guilter, okay, I know it's him. I know Richard Allen was involved in the crime. He was there. He's the guy from the video. He's bridge guy. He killed at least one of the girls. There's enough information to get that far. Doubt it. Disagree there, Charles. But then he goes and says, let's see. He says this crime should have been solved immediately, just like Robert Ives said, right? That this was a case that would be solved almost immediately. All right. But he says, think about it. You had unlimited resources. You had all these agents and feds and all these others. This should have been nothing. This should have taken a couple weeks. This is what cops do. They follow leads. They find license plate matches and all this other stuff, and none of it was done. How do you take the most basic thing you're supposed to do in an investigation and never do it? It's almost like people, the searchers, they were looking for bodies in the first place, but people can't fathom, how did they not find the bodies? Okay. Okay. Then he says, I know a lot of this doesn't leave me to tell a lot, but I might write a book for shits and giggles to have it out there all in one place because it's insane. He says, this entire case has basically proven me 100% right. The one name that y'all need to know about, I don't really think there's any conspiracy. I never really thought there was any kind of conspiracy in regards to the online groups. I thought every group had its own questionable behavior. And he says, I'm going to skip ahead. He says, the biggest members of the troll farm that I know thus far are notoriously bad. He said, where is it? He's talking about Ashley Garth and Garrett Kurtz, but But then he makes excuses about the box cutter. That how did Rick Allen know it was a box cutter? Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Rick Allen didn't know it was a box cutter. Ron Logan. Okay, here's a fact for all of you. Ron Logan is the reason a box cutter is mentioned by anyone. Do you all know that? Again, we're doing a little side track here. You want to know where box cutter, the concept of a box cutter comes in to the Delphi case? Within a year after the murders, Ron Logan's telling Reese Davis he used a box cutter. Is that a mystery to anyone? I mean, you guys know Delphi or you don't know Delphi? Because you either do or you don't know Delphi. Ron Logan told Reese within the first year of the crime, he used a box cutter to cut Libby's throat. The first time. All right. That's where a box cutter comes from. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to pull this up again so I can see it better. But he says, I'm tired of all the damn chaos and drama in the community. And that's what the community's been about. It's supposed to be about creating videos, but one of the main people that told me I should make videos other than the members of the group is Captain Howdy. And the irony is, it does not escape me with what you see from him whatsoever. People may not like to hear it. It is a fact. Since I got kicked out of this group, all this occurred right after Captain Howdy was made a member. But he was in there. Captain Howdy was in this group. Okay. He still might be in there for all I know. Okay. I can't tell you what went on behind the scenes or anything like that. I wouldn't even really call him a troll farm, plain and simple, but he was a member of Jinx's Discord. Okay. We're talking about 60 to 100 people at most points. But only 10 to 20 of those people were actual pain in the asses. Okay. And he says, other than, he says, other stuff involving Ruckus being the source of the link, I was not there, but somebody else I trust told me that. So I don't know what I've really heard from multiple sources now that he wasn't. Yeah, that's called the disinformation. That's called the disinformation agents. Okay. Because that was just in the past month. But they weren't able to give me much information at the time. Yes, because it was bullshit. Okay. I'm still waiting to hear about that. Yeah, because it's made up. Why they were so sure of the thing? Well, think about who told you that, because that was the lie. Okay, he says, it wouldn't matter to me if Ruckus was the one that leaked the photos in the first place. I've looked at crime scene photos for damn near every damn case I've ever researched. Every single one, if they exist, I've looked at. I've never saw the whole leak of the actual photos as long as they were to doctor or whatever to make sure there wasn't any nudity. Okay. But I have no problem whatsoever about the photos being shown or anything like that. And what's already been done, it's already been done. Now, I don't agree with how they spammed these photos, sent it to the families, and sent it all over the place, but that's a whole other matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. At the time I came in, I was to protect Tony Klein's ex-wife, who was at the time was also being questioned by detectives in the Delphi murders. The persons of interest they seemed to be implying at the time were Tony and Keegan Klein. That's how I got involved. That's why I was able to get so quickly into the whole troll group and this other crap, because I never ever asked them to be in it. They asked me instead because uh, she forgot talking to me, but had me on Facebook and forgotten that. So when I reached back out to her, she forgot she had told me certain details, and she saw me talking about details. She told, because she freaked out, thinking all they did, that I was working for Bridge Guy, aka Tony Klein, and I was trying to unalive them. Okay. Finally, when it ended, I got asked to come in a Discord where, in fact, I met Jinx, who I knew from her chat by the point with Bo, who is the best friend of the ex of Tony Klein. I didn't talk to her then, but I knew somewhere around the ex was hiding. I thought we were just protecting two women because of their connections to Tony Klein and Keegan Klein. But I found out this entire time, Dread Pirate Roberts or Mark Robert Cohen was always talking to me in there like he knew me, but I had no idea who the hell he was. It turns out to be Mark Robert Cohen, which, if you don't know, I was like, what the F are you doing here? But I'm probably imploding my own nature because I don't like being told what to do. So when Prof, I don't know what he says, but he deleted his account. And he says, I knew about some crimes that had occurred while I was in the group. Okay, and what he's meaning is the various crimes against me, Noe, and Snay, and others. And he says, I know about some crimes that occurred while I was in the group. And I notified the victims. And he said he was just going to drop all the bombs and let God sort out the bodies, you know? And basically, what this had become, it was really like all of them started attacking him. And he said it felt like nobody believed him or didn't care. And but anyway, Tyler Carpenter, everything was fine one day when Prof was already talking to him. And I think the bear guy, the grizzly guy who does the music and stuff, he was there. Miss Persevere, believe, was there, and one other or two other people. Okay. And he says, I didn't feel like I was doxxed because I had already doxxed myself. I had given my information, my criminal charges, all that. I gave them to Turbo, and they ran a background check on me. And I was told, I'm not even going to get into the other one, but it's a pain in the ass. But they basically showed me my hidden Facebook accounts and this other crap. And the conversation between Prof ends, Reg leaves, and I'm bored at that point because nobody's jumping anybody, or there's no attacks or swarming. And he says, Jinx had been drinking one night. She was bored, and as she was often, but whenever she had an idea that seemed funnier and amusing, and I was high, she was like, let's do this. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And she randomly comes up to me while she's drinking and tells me that Noe is live. And she says, and this is Jinx saying, if I call this one phone number and you call his other phone number 1,000,000 times, I'll think we'll kick him off the internet. Oh, really? Okay. So are you telling me that when all of this started with calling Noe 1,000,000 times during his streams, that it was Jinx and Charles? If I call his one phone number and you call his other phone number 1,000,000 times, I think we'll kick him off the internet during his live. And I'm like, I'm down. And we proceeded to do it. it actually did work, which I thought was hilarious. And after we kicked him off the internet or whatever, he answered the phone with me on the line, but I could hear he was talking to whoever and he was being a real dick to her, and some people get emotional when they're drunk. And she got upset. And I'm over here on the other end going, hang up the phone. And when she finally did or whatever, she was upset and I wanted to say something to make her feel better. And sounds dumb as shit, but you got to understand this kind of person I portray on here. So I was like, if it makes you feel better, we can just get a hold of my cousins, the Outlaws. I go out to Indiana, get this stuff off my cousins, some meth, plant it on Noe, get Noe popped. He goes back to jail for 20 years. Doesn't that sound like a great idea? Because at this point in time, I called the entire group that would later be known as the Troll Farm. I called them church kids. So I knew that if I had said to Jinx that she'd get it as a joke, which she did, but sometime later I told her we need to keep that joke to herself because I don't know what kind of idiot, because it took me seconds to think of it. And getting it covered up to every last bit, but obviously the plan would have worked. He says, it even had me getting DNA off Noe to implant on the bag itself. So if he claimed the stuff wasn't his, very quickly, but very well laid out, but she didn't want to do it. So I was like, do me a favor, just make sure, don't tell anybody I told you that. And this was like a month or before Tyler got doxxed. Now I go into the Discord server that same day he gets doxxed, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. If not the next day, Tyler makes the comment, Charles, just the man I've been looking for, or whatever. And I'm like, why? So he starts to tell me, hey, do you want me to get you tickets? And I'm like, what do I need tickets for? He goes, to fly up here to Michigan. Because some people, which, I'm giving names to people. I don't mind giving names to people. I know because like me and Mike had a conversation after all this, and you see, I shut the whole thing down. But yeah, he wanted to get a whole bunch because of Tyler's got some money, and he's got his own company with all kinds of other stuff and all kind of stuff, and anyway, he was offering fuel. He was offering to buy tickets. And I figured at first I was just going to go there and confront him. And I'll go there and play chaperone if he's going to confront Prof to make sure if he gets into a fight or something like that. And he's in the middle of it. And he said, no, dude, I thought you'd want to be there, for we need you for your plan to go through. And I went berserk. I went ballistic because, for one, I told Jinx not to tell anybody, and she still today says that she didn't tell anybody. And I'm like, Jinx, nobody else in the effing world knew that I came up with that plan. It's a very simple but pretty good plan. And I gave them all the information, so it's kind of like the wind out of their sails when I posted it. I'm like, the only information that you told everybody that they didn't have before was that my hair is going gray. But when Tyler mentioned my plan, not exactly what the plan was, but the fact that he wanted to do this plan, I went nuts and I wanted to yell, but I went nuts typing wise or whatever in the server and leaving voice messages, and I shut it all down. And at this moment in time, I start taking screenshots of everything that's being said or whatnot, because now I know that someone else has the plan. And if they decide to go through it, well, I'm damn sure not going to jail for these crimes. So I need something I can show in case it gets brought up. Hey, were you involved in that? But I got the hell out of it, and they still went forward with it anyways. And here's your evidence. And they're kind of annoying, but I mean, I had this conversation after the fact, and I'm like, What the hell do you think you were going to do? And this is what Tyler. And he's like, well, we had the plan for Noe. And he says it only works for Noe because he's got the previous drug charges. But Prof doesn't have those. He was well aware we could have figured out something. And then, like, he's like, well, yeah, we're going to go there or beat him up or worse or something. I don't know. Kind of beating up, we get to sitting in prison. We get Noe sitting in prison for over 20 years. The first one you can live through. That second one, I don't know. It's pretty damn fucking bad. I know people that would rather die than go to jail for 20 years. I don't know about you. But then on top of that, what's worse than that? I can only think of one thing. And really, I mean, do I even need to say it? Again, setting Noe up to go to jail for 20 years, to go to prison for 20 years. And with Prof, do I really need to say it? This is why for the longest time I joked around. And later when I started and everything else, and they wouldn't leave me alone, and they kept talking to me saying, do you understand that by Reg or Tyler Carpenter trying to buy the tickets and everything, that he has been taking steps offering financial compensation to those who would be involved in the crime. Do you not understand this whole conspiracy to murder charge? Yeah. Everyone laid the groundwork, and to screw me, to use all that, and y'all need to get the fuck off my nuts and leave me the hell alone. Well, of course, it went batshit crazy. Instead, thinking that it would shut him up. But after a while, I stopped fighting because I had my regular friends, and we were tired of all the drama and all this. And I didn't have any intentions for the drama. Well, Prof decided to put out these messages. And as I said before, he does all this other crap. I mean, I do have a little respect for Snay, at least in regards to character, but not Prof. Okay. And but he said Fig was one of the ones. They had this small little group that they were investigating sexual assault claims and these sex details of crimes, and they're all good at obtaining that. And that would have been Cowboy Kevin Dutenhaver, that's really good at getting information, fact finding. And he's like, why is everybody just let Curly and Randy chill out with that weirdo? He's a sexual offender. Okay. I'm going to skip ahead a bit. He says, for the life of me, I couldn't see why this whole damn group was allowing this when I found it out in the first place. But there's been one leader of the troll farm, period. And it was Jinx. I don't know if this happened or anything like that, but Ruckus was like what we call it, a senior member. He wasn't trying to make anyone do anything, but it was more like a bunch of people that agreed if somebody posted crime scene photos and a stupid video like 4 pits or something, we'd get the videos taken down. Somebody could find it. They would post it and say, blah, blah, blah. We'd all start reporting the video and stuff. If y'all were in a Discord server or whatever, I think most of the shit that's being shown, you would probably be doing the same by the time you'd been there. I would never identify anybody, and it's like all these people, I think at least something people would ever turn to me because I was truly because they thought I was truly threatening to dox two women to join up with somebody else. They were okay with that. But it doesn't even mean the main charge that Noe's in jail for right now. Okay. And then again, he starts making excuses that Noe's responsible for Noe being in jail. But yeah, what you fail to mention is that it's not solely Noe. Okay? Because you can drive people insane and you can drive people to the point of a lot of stuff, can't you? You could drive people to the point of murders. You can drive people to the point of suicides. You can drive people to the point of attacking others. You can drive people to the point of schizophrenic mental deterioration. And guess what? This entire group has done just that. Okay? This entire group has thoroughly put people under mental distress by the dozens. Okay? You've seen what happened to Rick Snay. You've seen what happened to Noe. You've seen what happened to me. You've seen what could have happened to me. You've seen what happened to other creators who suddenly are nowhere to be found. Okay? This is very same group is behind it and has been behind it all since before Rick's arrest. So yeah, they are responsible for lots of bad things and lots of crimes. He says there was a large portion of time where everybody was just getting arrested. You know? He says, I'm not on the prof side. I'm not on the crank side. I'm not on the troll farm side. I can believe a little of each. But all you trolls come in here all the time and tell me that I think somehow Alan's innocent. I don't. But I do know how to look at the lack of evidence and quality. There's certain details that are low quality circumstantial evidence. For instance, they could have paid $10,000 and either side. Now, this is a key point he's making. They could have paid either side about $10,000 to get someone in there to do really good measurements on Bridge Guy. That, you know what else? Either side could have gotten in there and done crime scene reconstruction. They could have done forensic examination of the video to figure out the potential height range and weight range of the individual who is captured in that footage. They could have reconstructed the time scene, reenacted the crime to try to see if it's possible in a 19-minute window to accomplish all that was accomplished. Well, we know it wasn't because it's a total bullshit story. This whole thing with Lone Wolf Killer. Okay, let's hit the reset button, especially for the new folks here. The entire scenario with the Lone Wolf Richard Allen Killer is absolute hysterical nonsense. It's impossible. It's impossible. And we'll talk about it later, how fucking impossible it is. It's absolutely impossible. Now, you know what is possible? If 3 or 4 people took those girls from wherever they were, brought them somewhere else, separated them, committed separate crimes to each of them, and then when they were done with it all, placed them together to be found. And by the way, was that Dustin Maggard who found the bodies like my whistleblower emailed me last few months ago? Is it true that Dustin Maggard found the bodies and that several individuals and the prosecutor and law enforcement went into trial with Richard Allen and knowingly perjured themselves by claiming that they found the bodies? Why would Dustin Maggard's family and mother say that he found the bodies and that it's a big secret no one's supposed to tell anybody? When I'm telling you this entire thing has been a lie, the prosecution has lied, okay? The clients have lied, right? Ron Logan lied, right? The searchers lied, right? The family lied, right? Law enforcement lied. Everybody lied. It's Delphi in a nutshell. But sorry for the rant. Let's continue on. He says, you couldn't pay $10,000 to get there and do a good measurement. You'll eliminate the Ron Logan or not, or Keegan Klein or not, or, I would add Richard Allen or not. You get a height estimate. It's going to give you a tiny bit more evidence to work with. You had footage of vehicles. You had a video full of cars. Now, how hard is it with your unlimited resources? Remember, they spent millions of dollars on this, and they had the entire FBI behind them. You had unlimited resources and unlimited agents and blah, blah, blah. You couldn't go out there and track down every single fucking vehicle, starting with Carroll County. Okay. But because he's a guilter, he goes on to say, you probably would have found Richard Allen. No, they probably would have eliminated Richard Allen. All right. He says, Angela and the Cranks, he doesn't know that they've been involved in this stuff. But he never joined the group, and he never joined Prof's group, and he was a visitor, and each side was being deceptive and wanted to cause more drama. But he had enough. And he says, I don't like this whole grouping up and attacking people, which we call swarming or mauling. He says, are you really telling me that all this fighting and everything is just because people have a difference of opinions? It seems childish. You know? And he kind of goes on a detour about the Idaho case, which I'll skip over. But he says, I have no problem telling you exactly who I am, name by name, my email address, and everything else, my literal actual name. There's too much secrecy that's been going on in this case. There's way too much being hidden, too many hands in the gutter, too many people playing puppet master in the background and acting like they don't know each other in the first place. What? Just exactly what we say, right? Too many hands, too many people playing puppet master, acting like they don't know each other in the first place. He says, seriously, I got emails that say otherwise. Um, he says, I wouldn't call this drama. Um, I don't even know how many people are left in this troll farm. Okay. So what I'm going to do is we're going to move on from that. Okay. But I think what I should do now is bring back up some of these other statements for us to review again, because some of you might have missed the previous show. So I want to add to it. Okay, so we're going to add to this. My mouse can work here. Problematic here. Let's see. Again, so these are the original messages that we talked about last week. Okay. He said that Noe and I were both targeted. Remember? Again, this is, by the way, just so everyone can see, in case you can't see. Okay, in case you can't see, it's May 5th of 2025. May 5th of 2025 when he first told me this story. And he says the plan was to get y'all arrested or beat up or far worse. Do I really need to say it? Meaning a murder for hire plot. This was a murder for hire plot. This is a conspiracy to murder plot. And it's also a conspiracy to set up an individual for 20 years. Okay, does Noe deserve to be set up for 20 years because he does not agree with certain individuals in the Delphi case? Do I deserve to be physically assaulted or murdered because there are individuals who don't agree with me in the Delphi case? How much money was going to change hands during the course of this plot? I'd like to know, what's the dollar figure? Was it 5,000? 10,000? There are two biker clubs you'll talk about. One is apparently the Hells Angels, or tied to the Hells Angels. The other is the Outlaws. They wanted to force you to quit. Okay, then he says, where all this took place, by the way, this all occurred in Tyler Carpenter's Discord, which is why the feds need to go and obtain a subpoena from Discord for that particular Discord, as well as Jinx's Discord. Tyler's and Jinx's Discords need to be subpoenaed, and this has to be reviewed. He says from the beginning, in Tyler's Discord was probably 70 or so, half of them trolls. And under Jinx's Discord, it was 90 to 240 trolls. Captain Howdy was one. Jinx, Turbo, Mark Cohen, Tommy Frost, Tyler Carpenter. There's a bunch I have to think about. Tyler had been stalking. I'm sorry. There's a lot of criminals here. Okay, Tyler is one as well. Captain Howdy had been stalking his ex-wife, okay, for years. He'd been reported many times. Okay, then he goes and he shoots her in cold blood in the face before he shoots himself, leaving an infant behind. Charles says Detective Vito knows of this entire plot. Okay, Detective David Vito of the Indiana State Police had knowledge of this. So did Holman. He said Troll Farm had 60 to 70 creators. Half the Troll Farm are creators. So if it's 150, you got 60 to 70 creators, each with 1,000 or more subs, including criminality. The majority of the original creators in Delphi were Troll Farm, including Dan, Paradox, Greeno, Marv, Randy, Ruckus, Co-Truth, Criminality, Meow, Chris Long, Deb Slaughter, Coach Kev, Frank Meister, Faye, Delphi Dummies, Ashley Schaefer, Aspen Connor, Adam, and others. These are just off the top of his head. Bossy. I don't have too much on Bossy as she was kicked out early. But later she would try to manipulate me and others to try to get money with sob stories. Yeah, she did it to Peggy O, according to the fight on the community pages. Ruckus, much easier. I can tell you what I know. For one, he was the one major leak of the crime scene photos, uploading them to Telegram and linking people in Reg's or Tyler's Discord. Very important. Like I said, Tyler's Discord needs to be subpoenaed. So does Jinx's. Like I said, Telegram is where everything has happened. Okay. He goes back into the Keegan Kline stepmom and best friend. And like I said, Holly Lowry's the third. It's three women, all tied to Keegan Kline. And again, he mentions, what about Vito? I don't get it why Vito was involved in this with the protection and with the bikers. But Turbo even told Vito or asked Vito. So now we know that Turbo is also directly speaking with David Vito, okay? So Turbo's asking Vito, why does it seem like bikers are following Tony? Okay, the Outlaws. Detective Vito asked us to keep an eye on them. Okay, it goes further. He says, Tyler wanted y'all beat up in prison and on false charges, or as he said, who knows? That means dead, murdered, conspiracy to murder. Initially, 5 to 7 were planning the assault. Okay, the plan was to have something highly illegal with DNA planted in to be found by anonymous tip to the police, large amounts of drugs. Tyler wanted it used on you, but since you didn't have the drug history, he wasn't sure. Think if Noe was pulled over with a few ounces of ice on him and his DNA on the scale and on the drugs, he'd probably have gotten 20 years. Tyler has the people, the means, and the money to pull it off, but needed the connections in Colorado and Indiana. The only one who has that is me with the Outlaws, so I shut it all down. He was literally in the process of booking flights. That's when I realized it was no longer a joke. This kind of shit worries me. Tyler was true evil, and Jinx was with him and told him he needed my help. Jinx knew that Necessary Evil's family had bikers in it, which is why they went to him for this murder for hire plot. But he says, like I said before, y'all can be annoying, but I have no hatred or wishing ill will on you guys. Okay. Anyhow, I think that's gonna, I'll shut this down here. I wanted to show you where he says Holman. Okay. Here he goes. So not only was it David Vito that had knowledge of this, and of these interactions with these people, but it was David Vito, Jerry Holman, and another. Who's the other necessary evil? Who's the other necessary evil? If David Vito had knowledge of this collusion with the outlaws, Jerry Holman had knowledge of this collusion with the outlaws. Who was the other that had knowledge of this? Vito, Holman, and who? That's what we'd like to know. We'd like to know that. Who's the third officer? Appreciate you letting us know, necessary evil. Who's the third officer? Vito, Holman, and who's another? All right, just a moment, please. Was that Harshman? Come on, starts with an H is not good enough. Is it Harshman? Who starts with an H? All right. So now we're going to take a look. We're going to move to phase 2 here. And I want to thank Necessary Evil again for all the above information that we just went through. Hopefully the feds are taking a look at all of this. It's extremely important. It's not to be taken lightly. Okay, so we're going to look at several things now. All right. So what we're going to do is so who is Tyler Carpenter? What about the others in this group? Okay, so we're going to take a look at something because I thought about this and I thought, what's the best way to crack this open so that the viewers can understand who might this person and these people be? And it occurred to me that this, as I mentioned, this group was central to the attempt to have the defense thrown off, or I should say it in the plural, to the attempts to have the defense thrown off of the case. This group was at the central core of it. You remember Fig Solves, Nicholas McClellan, Jerry Holman, Jody Williams, Ruckus Rocks, Tyler Carpenter, Rick Snay, Murder Sheet, Mark Cohen, Bella, Meerkat, Kyrie DeBruin. And I thought, it's a good way to actually start into this is to go back and review the time during which all of this became a lot more clear. Okay. So that's what we're going to do as soon as I can manage to figure out which one of these PDFs it is I need to bring up. Let's see. All right. It's this one. Okay. So right here is the verified emergency motion for continuance. Okay. The verified emergency motion for continuance. Now, this is really important. We're going to read through this. It says, comes now counsel for defense counsel. Sorry, I got to scale it so I can actually see it. And by that, we're meaning David Hennessy, okay? David Hennessy comes and says, in this verified emergency motion for continuance, on March 1st, 2024, counsel took the deposition of First Sergeant Holman at which time it was learned that there were recorded interviews that had not been provided to prosecutor or counsel. It was also learned that the attachments to First Sergeant Holman's report had not been provided to the prosecutor or counsel. McClelland promised to get them. On March 11th, 2024, counsel first received the recorded interviews of Tahara Ironfelt, Robert Fortson, Rick Snay, Kevin Greenlee, Anya Kane, Mark Robert Cohen, and Kyra DeBruin, as well as the omitted attachments to the report. Due to their obligations, counsel was first able to listen to the recorded interviews March 13th, 2024. The recorded interviews contain a wealth of information that begs independent investigation of the source of various photographs that were posted on the internet and traded between people on the internet. Additionally, had counsel had the omitted materials prior to First Sergeant Holman's deposition, counsel would have asked many, many more questions which need to be asked for proper preparation and representation. The recorded interview of Miss Ironfelt revealed that she recognized that Libby's sweatshirt was on Abby. She confirmed that she received the photos from a Tyler Carpenter. Okay, now do you understand why I'm bringing this up? Bella received the photos from Tyler Carpenter. There was some connection to a screenshot of George Nye, former quote unquote law enforcement officer. This was the first counsel had heard of these people, and the first time counsel heard anything about this woman. She also confirmed that she had corresponded with Mr. McClelland. Oh my God. Hold on. Do you guys understand?
Oh my God.
These are the people in touch with McClelland and Holman and these other officers. She confirmed she had corresponded with Mr. McClelland. She also confirmed that she had been part of a small inner circle, Facebook group, Reddit group, YouTube group, Discord server with private chats. She also revealed that a person known to her had hired a private investigator to follow Mr. McClelland. Allegedly, she also identified the other person possibly involved in the dissemination of photographs and named Paul Manion, which is another name counsel had never heard of. Lastly, she agreed to provide screenshots to First Sergeant Holman, and they agreed to do that later, whatever. Counsel has not received any screenshots and first learned of their existence when listening to this recording. During the interview of Robert Fortson, rest in peace, he invoked his right to fucking counsel more than half a dozen fucking times. And First Sergeant Jerry Doughboy Holman acknowledged that he had a Fourth Amendment right to counsel, even though that's the wrong amendment, but continued to question him. First Sergeant Holman referenced a guy from Texas, Mark Robert, who we now know as Mark Robert Cohen, and a K. Smith, which was a name counsel had never been made aware of in preparing for the contempt proceedings. There's no indication that Miss Smith was ever interviewed by First Sergeant Holman. First Sergeant Holman told Mr. Fortson that the judge isn't very happy and he could be charged with contempt of court. He also told him that if he didn't give a statement, that it would be obstruction of justice and possibly contempt of court. And when Mr. Fortson indicated to First Sergeant Jerry Doughboy Holman that he was not comfortable speaking with him until he was able to seek consultation with his attorney, First Sergeant Holman told him if he didn't cooperate and delete whatever he had, that if he called the judge and told her he's not willing to cooperate, I'm going to make a phone call and see if she wants to issue that order or not, which is a threat to arrest, by the way. This is when First Sergeant Holman also referenced that Mr. Fortson could be charged with obstruction of justice and contempt and arrested. First Sergeant Holman then said, "Let me call the judge real quick and we'll go from there." He left the room for several minutes to play mental games with Robert Fortson. He then returned and told Mr. Fortson that he had talked to the prosecutor, and if he's not willing to turn over any pictures or information, basically there would be consequences. Yeah, his death was the fucking consequence. Feds. First Sergeant Holman also said that the judge said if they have photographs, get them, and the information about where they got them. First Sergeant Holman then told Mr. Fortson his lack of cooperation was going to ruin Richard Allen's rights to a fair trial. And mess up things. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Bruh. Do you guys really think that Jerry Holman is concerned with Mr. Allen's right? Okay, let me restate that because I fucked it up. Do you guys really think that Jerry Holman was concerned with Richard Allen's right to a fair trial? But then said, doesn't bother me because it's all bullshit in my opinion. First Sergeant Holman also told Fortson that this is some serious shit, and the judge is adamant that he get the photos out of circulation. Mr. Fortson then confirmed he didn't have anything like that in his possession. There was nothing for him to delete or anything like that at all. Rick Snay was interviewed by telephone. Mr. Snay indicated he had received 4 photos from Kyra DeBruin. Mr. Snay also indicated that he had heard that other people received photos from Mark Robert and Kay Smith. Snay indicated he had gotten the photographs Thursday, but no date was provided in his interview. First Sergeant Holman told Snay that the judge was very adamant that if any got released by anybody, she was going to issue contempt of court, now threatening to arrest Snay. March 13, 2024 was the first time counsel heard the name Kyra DeBruin. In the interview with Kyra DeBruin, she indicated that her source was through Reddit from a lordless warrior who she believed was Ron something. First Sergeant Holman then asked if it could be Robert Fortson, and she indicated sounded familiar. She never firmly identified Robert Fortson. Whether Lordless Warrior was Ron someone or Robert Fortson, Ms. DeBruin indicated that the person had deleted an entire conversation, Robert Fortson. First Sergeant Holman told Ms. DeBruin that the judge was pretty upset and said if they do get shared, she was going to issue warrants for contempt of court, arrest. Again, threatening everyone with arrest here. Counsel has been provided no information identifying Lordless Warrior as Robert Fortson. The true identity of Lordless Warrior needs to be investigated. Mark Robert Cohen, in his interview, indicated his source was Robert Fortson, and Robert Fortson had told him to delete everything. Oh, kind of like McClellan told Fig Solves, right? Kind of exactly. So Fortson tells Cohen, delete everything, just like McClellan tells Fig Solves, delete everything. Now, Mr. Cohen had the impression that Fortson was an attorney. Cohen also indicated that Fortson had made a $500 donation to his daughter's Make-A-Wish, which First Sergeant Holman then referred to as a GoFundMe. The donation was done before and was unrelated to any conversation about or any receipt of any photographs, but we don't know that. First Sergeant Holman told Mr. Cohen that the judge had told the prosecutor, who had told him that if anybody doesn't produce these or isn't willing to delete or give it up, she's going to issue orders for contempt of court, another threat of arrest. And whoever released them will get charged for contempt of court. On a side note, I'm going to bring this up. This is from Frank Wessling, 3/20/2024, reading in the red box. He says, Ruckus has more of a role in this play because he's the one who distributed all of this. He had Tyler Carpenter send money to Mark. Johnny was then complaining to me yesterday, no, it wasn't him. Well, Johnny is a fucking pseudonym, but too bad I got his IP address because Mark was actually too stupid enough to give me that information. So this is Frank Wessling claiming that he has the IP address that was given to him by Mark Cohen for the donation of $2,000 to his GoFundMe, which he claims is Tyler Carpenter. Furthermore, he states here in the red box, same individual, Art of Deduction True Crime, 3/19/2024, writing a letter to Judge Gull, right? He says, it has come to my attention that the story portrayed in this entire endeavor regarding the leak has not been accurately represented. Therefore, as an observer, I will tell the entire story as it unfolded, a sequence of events that has not been disclosed and is by sheer observation the truth. In October 2023, Sergeant Robert Kyle Fortson took his own life in a drastic manner, an act that could have been prevented. The defense, as the main participant and adding factor, coupled with the state's rough questioning, was merely the last straw for Fortson and should be held accountable, directly or indirectly, for this tragic loss through their faulty measures and deceptive behavior. And he means Holman when he's talking about rough questioning. Although the suicide of Sergeant Fortson does not have a direct connection, I will present a narrative unknown to counsel. On October 9th, after Jerry Holman interviewed Robert Kyle Fortson, Sergeant Fortson sought assistance from an attorney that same day. He had an encounter with Kelly Kincaid, who was running or rumored to be Westerman's girlfriend. The matter undoubtedly added to the pressure and blame solely placed on Fortson. Westerman also communicated with several individuals, talking only about his own loss, how he lost his wife, and lamenting that he could only see his children during the weekend. A deceased man cannot defend himself. After Sergeant Fortson's death, the leak continued. Mark Robert Cohen, a resident of Texas, who initially received the image shared by Fortson, received them, according to Cohen, in early October. Cohen then proceeded to disseminate them further after Fortson's burial on October 18th. During or on October 18th and 19th, Cohen met with a man in Florida named George Nye, who took the liberty of meeting Cohen in Orlando, despite living in Homosassa near Crystal River. Mr. Nye was very much aware of Cohen having the crime scene images and took the time to drive 89 miles to meet him on the 19th. A second wave of leaks occurred during the hearing, and various YouTubers received them. Yeah, remember, Telegram. They were posted on Telegram. The link to Telegram was posted in Tyler's Discord. Now it gets deeper. Not because of Fortson's dissemination, but because Mark Robert Cohen was paid $2,000 by a man named Tyler Carpenter, who lives in Michigan and is also part of the DELPHI Knot Unraveling group. Although Mr. Carpenter donated under the name John E., I was able to backtrack his transaction to his account, which has been disabled ever since. And remember, he said he did so using the IP address he was given for a Johnny. Johnny. Okay? In summary, although Sergeant Fortson might have shared it with one person and one person only, the rest of the dissemination was not the fault of Sergeant Fortson. The rest of the social media disseminators are blaming a well-respected National Guardsman and are taking an image that is completely, or tainting an image that is completely untrue, brought out by the internet to save face. Okay? So let's get back to what we were reading because we're not even done. Back to this. Completing paragraph 8 of Mark Robert Cohen. Now we're on to 10. What happened to 9? I don't know. Anya Kane and Kevin Greenlee of the Murder Sheet podcast were interviewed together. They provided printed copies of photographs to First Sergeant Jerry Doughboy Holman. They identified their source as Mark Cohen, Mark Robert Cohen, but they only had 7 photographs, while the prosecution has alleged that 9 photographs were disseminated. They did reference a cursor on the photograph of a close-up of Abby's head, which is curious and belies the story that they were photographs of photographs. Mrs. Kane and Mr. Greenlee indicated that a close-up of the head was to document something in her hair. Yeah, the antlers. She indicates, what was it? That indicates some source other than what has been alleged, which means lies. At the end of the interview, Miss Kane and Mr. Greenlee told First Sergeant Holman that they would provide him 100 plus screenshots. Counsel has yet received any screenshots that were provided to First Sergeant Holman. Counsel has not received them. Number 11, had these interviews been timely provided, counsel would have had many, many more questions for First Sergeant Holman during his deposition and would have engaged in additional investigation as the people never before known, alternative sources of photographs, and the true identity of Lordless Warrior, and more. On March 13, 2024, McClellan indicated he would try to get screenshots if they exist when he had time. This nice but not very helpful at this point. First Sergeant Holman seems to believe if there are recordings or documents or people he doesn't consider important to his theory, they do not need to be provided. That's spot on for Mr. Hennessy. That number 13 is very spot on right there, and we're going to see why in a moment. At this point, there's no time to accomplish these tasks fully, fairly, and competently to represent defense counsel March 18, 2024, that he would try to get screenshots. Lastly, undersigned counsel learned on March 13, blah, blah, blah. So what happens as a result of this? Does he get the continuance? Absolutely not. Okay. Remember what this is a verified emergency motion for continuance. He didn't get the continuance. They forced him into court. And also they made sure Rick Snay didn't appear in the courtroom so that the whole story wasn't told. Now it gets even better. List of additional witnesses and exhibits for the contempt hearing. Okay. Comes now counsel for Baldwin and Rozzi, notifying the state and the court that in addition to the witnesses and exhibits previously disclosed, he may call the following witnesses: Stephen Wood, that's Skip Jansen, Angela Sadlowski, Julie Melvin, Terry Williams, Courtney Parsons, and Matt Hoffman. What the fuck?
Oh my God.
Bruh.
Bruh.
He calling the cranks. Exhibits 1. Communications between Gary Bodette, aka Fig Solves, Prosecutor McClelland, multiple. Communication from Bodette about Prosecutor McClelland, his best friend forever. Anthony Greeno's video entitled Crime Nation, Delphi Murders, Watch and Review. Rick Snay on True Crime Investigates. Baldwin's email to McClelland regarding Professor Turco. Bodette's communications with Angela Sadlowski. Bruh. Oh my God. Bruh. Fig Solves communications with Angela Sadlowski. Bodette's YouTube episode regarding the Delphi investigation. Bodette's communications regarding court staff revelations. Yes. My source is someone who works for the judge. Remember that one? Yeah, y'all forgot that, huh? Bodette's communications regarding disqualification of defense counsel. Getting defense kicked off was another win. Remember that one? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Documents of the relationship between Bodette, Fortson, and Cohen. That's right. Fig Solves, Mark Robert Cohen, and Kyle Fortson. Documentation of the relationship between Bodette, Fortson, and Cohen. Bodette sending defense work product to McClelland, who says delete everything. Bodette sending information to McClelland. Bodette identifying his source in the investigation as someone who works with the judge. Bodette posting regarding sending information to McClelland. Bodette posting regarding digging dirt on Baldwin. Bodette posting regarding working with law enforcement and prosecution. Bodette's email of McClelland asking Bodette to delete everything. Barbara McDonald on Court TV with leaked investigation information. Was that from Sue Wright, Mike Thomas, Matt Sullivan? Where did that come from, Barbara McDonald? McClellan emailed to the defense regarding Professor Turco report, leaked search warrant affidavit prior to unsealing. Remember, that's the one that the troll farm came out with, right? Sergeant Holman communicating with Terry Williams prior to all of this, right? Terry Williams. You guys remember that Holman had told Terry Williams about all this years ago? YouTubers Frank Meister and Douche Intuition. YouTube video, The Inquisitor, claiming leaked communications from Rick Allen. Terry Williams posting inside information of the crime scene and investigation years before she should have known. October 22nd, 2022, YouTube video, Bodette discussing his knowledge of a bullet at the fucking crime scene when knowledge of a gun was not known and it was under seal weeks before it was unsealed, including the knowledge that there was a gun taken or found at Rick Allen's house. Email exchanges between Judge Gull and Rozzi regarding the misdirected email that went to, remember, this thing that went to Brandon Woodhouse. This was an entire setup. It was part of the plan, okay? Brandon Woodhouse was part of this plan with these individuals to do what was accomplished. There were multiple outlets that were planned. Do you realize that? Do you think Brandon Woodhouse was an accident? Brandon Woodhouse had nothing to do with Baldwin. This did not come from Baldwin. Brandon Woodhouse was part of this entire scheme with these people. He was one of the outlets, quote unquote. Right? Let's continue. Baldwin emails to Judge Gull, list of media dissemination by state actors, Julie Melvin's documents, YouTube video entitled A Reckoning, Carroll County, potential exhibits. On or about February 29th, March 1st, the defense received an anonymous call from a woman in Texas claiming to have approximately fucking 240 fucking pages of leaked documents. Who do you think that was? Who is the woman in Texas who claimed to have 240 pages of leaked documents? Who else is in Texas? The defense has received only a few of those documents, all of which appear to be available to the public. The defense also discovered information from the prof, claiming that he had delivered 2 pounds of documents to the Indiana Attorney General, Todd Rokita. The defense is continuing to investigate that claim, which may result in additional exhibits. Okay. Now let me pull up the next one. Apologize for the absurdity of all this. Let's see. We got to get rid of this one. Done with it. Done with this one. Oh, kind of too big for me. Okay, now we're going to look. All right. We're going to start with page, let me see. I think we're going to, got to get the right page number, guys. Apologize. Okay, this is 40. It's going to 40. I'm going to pull this up. Now, this is the, well, is this not it? Hold on. This is page 40. Well, before I do that, okay, let's do this. This is the record of proceedings, the transcript from the hearing on March 18th. Okay, the contempt hearing, March 18th. These are your transcripts from the contempt hearing on March 18, 2024. That's what we've been discussing. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and go to the page I want to start on, which is when Holman comes in, obviously. Okay, here we go. Holman. As you can see, this is a direct exam of Jerry Holman by McClelland. Here it starts. I received a phone call in the beginning of October stating that you had received information from Becky Patty, who is the grandmother of Liberty German. Crime scene photos were leaked. And once I learned of it, I started inquiring on what type of photos were leaked and tried to find out where they were being leaked from. And what did you do to first go about finding out that information? Well, I received a phone call from Anya and Kevin Greenlee, okay, who said they had also received the photos, and they described those photos to me over the phone. When those photos were described to you, were you familiar with the photos they were talking about? Yes, I was. How were you familiar? One of the descriptions of the photos was the one that Mr. Baldwin and Rozzi showed me in my deposition. It was a side-by-side I had never seen before that day, and it was created, obviously, by defense attorneys. I recall seeing it that day, and that's the only time I ever saw the photo. And that's the side-by-side, I believe, of the asterisk formation and the sticks on Abbey formation. Okay. And so from the description, those individuals you talked to, you recognize the photo as something the defense has created? Yes, I did. What did you do next? I believe I called you back to let you know that there was more than just what Becky Patty had told you. Okay. Again, I talked to Anya Kane and Kevin Greenlee, who said they knew who sent them the photos. And who was that? Mr. Cohen. Did you speak to Mr. Cohen? Later, I did. Okay. Objection. Violation of the right to confrontation overruled. Did you speak to Mr. Cohen? I did later. But before that, I got more information from Anya and Kevin. Okay. Objection. What did he say? Did you stop him there? Yes. And when you spoke to Anya and Kevin, did you get documents from them? Yes. What documents did you get? They gave me several documents that were screenshots they received from Mr. Cohen with communications with Mr. Fortson. Did you receive any pictures from them? Yes. And what pictures did you receive from them? The pictures they stated that Mr. Cohen sent them. And when you got the pictures, did you recognize the photos? Yes, I did. And did you want to go into, and I don't want to go into detail, but what were the photos of? Some of them were crime scene, okay, that I knew had come to the defense attorneys, because one of them was of Liberty and her private parts were blacked out and they used a circle. And in all the ones that we ever used, we used rectangles. Well, guess what? Newsflash. I know who put the circles over the rectangles, and you should too. Those photos did have rectangles, and the circle was put on by someone on YouTube. Okay. What do the photos show? These other ones, these other photos, crime scene photos. Some of them are pictures of drawings of the crime scene. Okay. Then State's Exhibit 5 is requested. The graphic crime scene photos. I did not transmit those to the defense. I told Mr. Hennessy I was not going to transmit those to him. Let's see them. I'm more than happy to have them look at those, but I would like those filed under seal, Judge. Any objection? Yeah, I need to see them. Mr. McClelland, let me look at them. I've never received copies because I didn't want to, because I don't want to be sitting accused of contempt. I have no reason to object to them being placed under seal. All right, I'll show 5 as admitted without objection, and I will seal. I need to see the exhibit. You asked if I object to them being sealed. I'm going to make sure this is what I was shown before. Show them the photos, please. All right, I'll show 5 is admitted. Now, Mr. Holman, if you recall, were all those photos you received from Miss Kane or the individuals Kevin and Anya? No. Those are just the ones the ones we admit are just a portion of those. And again, the one specifically of the crime scene depicting Liberty, was that something that law enforcement created? No. How do you know that? Like I said earlier, we use rectangles to block out the private parts. And that one had a rectangle and a circle. So I knew it was not produced by any of us. No, no, you don't understand. It was produced by you, but someone placed a circle over the rectangle to be able to track where those photos ended up. Someone from Delphi, or I should say from Carmel or Indianapolis. Where do you recognize it from? It's a crime scene photo that was used and taken at the crime scene. Same questions. Did you know that law enforcement created this photo with us a side by side? No. Do you recognize the photo? Yes. It was shown in deposition by Mr. Baldwin and Rozzi. Once you got these photos and the information from Kevin and Anya, what did you do from there? Well, I notified you again of the photos and what my thoughts were, and I scheduled a time to meet with Anya and Kevin to take a statement and receive all of the information they got from Mr. Cohen. Okay. Did those include screenshots of messages? Yes. And who were the messages between? Cohen and Fortson. How do you know they were between Cohen and Fortson? Well, I saw pictures. The Facebook pictures of Mr. Fortson and Mr. Cohen told me they were. So you were able to identify from the messages, Mr. Fortson? Yes. I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 6. I believe, are you familiar with this bundle of documents? Yes, I am. How familiar are you with these documents? They're what I received from Mr. Greenlee and Mrs. Kane. Can you describe what those documents are? Not the content of them, but what they are. They're screenshots of communications between Fortson and Cohen on Facebook. And how do you know? Because I'm familiar with Facebook, and it says Robert Fortson, and it's also identifying Mr. Cohen. Okay. So we move to admit States Exhibit 6. Okay. Do you remember how many pages you received from the murder sheet people? I don't know exact number. Okay. So then the conversation is between two people? Yes. Is Mr. Fortson deceased? Pardon me. Is Mr. Fortson deceased? Yes, he is. Judge, I would object on hearsay. It's impossible for the defense to be able to cross-examine and confront the speakers. This is clearly communications between two people, neither of whom are available for cross-examination. Judge, the state does not believe it's hearsay. It's not going to the truth of the matter of the contents in the statements. It's going to show there was a conversation and there was a continued leak. If the court does deem it's hearsay, I believe there's an exception. If the court reads through the documents and reads through the statements in the document, there are several messages where Fortson says or asks Cohen to protect him from distributing the information and delete messages. There you go. Delete again. Delete everything once he knows the investigation starts. So it's clearly statements against his interest in terms of trying to delete those messages and hide the evidence. So the state would ask to overrule. States Exhibit 6 admitted, though. So I'm sorry, I'd also briefly like to add relevance because none of these conversations are connected to either Mr. Baldwin or Rozzi, so there's no evidence or testimony that they were aware of these conversations, that they authored or authorized the conversation, so there's no connection to the two people that are charged with indirect contempt relevance. You may proceed. So once again, they're just bulldozing through David Hennessy with that argument. So what did you do next? After receiving the information, says Holman, I did an audio videotape statement of Mr. Kane or Mrs. Kane and Mr. Greenlee. I then contacted Robert Cohen. Did you interview him as well? Yes. After you interviewed him, what did you do next? After I've interviewed Mr. Cohen, I believe I interviewed Mr. Rick Snay. And between the interviews of these people, did you have an opportunity to go through the documents that were handed over to you? Yes. And the interviews you conducted with these people, did it match the information you saw in the documents? Yes, it did. After you talked to Snay, what did you do? Mr. Snay advised me that he received. Objection. Who did you interview after Snay? Kyra DeBruin. Through your investigation, do you continue to gather information on how the photos were leaked? Yes. What was the purpose in interviewing these people, to determine the source? Yes. And once you saw the messages from Fortson, did you attempt to interview him? Yes, I did. Did you attempt to interview him about the things in that document? Yes. Did he give you any information? No. Did you attempt to subpoena his Facebook records to get certified copies of these documents? We did. And when you examined his Facebook, were those messages in there? I did not examine his Facebook messages, but Detective Rector did, Ben Rector, who also happens to be the lead over Flora. Flora. You attempted After you attempted to interview Fortson, who did you interview next? I attempted to contact Westerman after I interviewed Fortson. And so the information you got from the investigation at this point, where did it tell you the leak was coming from? Westerman. Do you know who Westerman was? No, not at the time. Did you investigate to find out who he was? Yeah, I found out. Um, well, there's objections, but then he says, um, I attempted to call one of the numbers I had for him. I actually had two. What about your contact for Fortson? The first number said, "This is Robert Fortson. Please leave a message." I left him a message identifying myself as the state police. I needed to talk to him. And that's some information that came up in an investigation. And another number I called, I didn't know, but it was actually his father, Bob Fortson. When I spoke to Bob Fortson, he said he worked at the Air Force Base and he probably is up there, and that he would call him to let him know to get in contact with me. And so, on or about October 10th, did you go to the Air Force Base and talk to Fortson? Yes, I did. Did you gather any information? Very little. Did you attempt to get a hold of Mitch Westerman? Yes, I did. Does Mitch Westerman, through your investigation, did you find out if he had a connection to the defense? Rozier Baldwin. I did. Tell me about the connection. He used to work for Baldwin. I'm not sure he was employed, but he used to work for Baldwin. Do you know if he was still employed? I don't believe so. And that takes us to October 12th. What did you find out on October 12th? I received a phone call from a sergeant at the Fishers PD that Mr. Fortson had committed suicide. Hold on. October 12th, you get a call that Fortson's committed suicide. When did you talk to Fortson? Let's see. It's right here. October 10th. Whoops. I'm sorry. I think I bulldozed through it myself. Line 17. October 10th. I went to the Air Force Base, talked to Fortson. October 12th. Fortson commits suicide 2 days later. Fisher's PD said it was an obvious suicide and that during a conversation with his wife, he was upset because of the photos he leaked and he wished he would have just been honest. Did you conduct any other investigation into his suicide? No. Once your investigation was complete, were you able to determine the chain of how the photos were leaked? Yes. Wrong. 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 And that's what we're going to get into. Preliminary question. Hennessy's kind of sharp. Was this based on stuff people told you? Oh no, I don't believe so. No. Yes, it was. Yes, it was, and we're gonna exactly, specifically pinpoint why in just a minute because it's very important. There's a whole reason that I'm doing all of this, and you guys are about to see. Just give me a break. Give me a minute to get some chocolate. Pardon me. Just a moment, because you're going to understand very shortly why I'm doing this. Okay, thank you for waiting. I'm back. Now, here's what he claims. I was able to determine that Mitch Westerman, who used to work for Mr. Baldwin and got these charges mysteriously dropped, dismissed, by the way, was also in the Air Force with Robert Fortson prior. He wasn't at the time, but he was friends with Robert Fortson through the Air Force. And it appeared to me through my investigation that he was sending information he was getting directly from Mr. Baldwin to Mr. Fortson. And Mr. Fortson was putting that information out to other people. What platforms was Mr. Fortson using to disseminate that information? He was using Facebook and Reddit. No, that's not where the crime scene photos came from. For real, guys. Okay, guys, do you think the crime scene photos came from Reddit? Hmm? Do you think they came from Facebook? And did Fortson disseminate the crime scene photos that we previously admitted into evidence? Yes. Let's take a little detour again. I'm going to pull something up. Rick Snay, you just repeated my live stream from 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry, I'll start at the top. Robert, there were actually 3. The picture of the runes was found through the Yellow app, and it had been released on the dark web. I heard it on many platforms and private rooms. This is very old news. There are 3. One stood for power, one for God, and one for communication. It was told to several of us. Number 2, I can't show crime scene pics. There were 3, and they were discovered online. They were shown through the Yellow app, across seas, and in Georgia. I wish I could be your source, but I'm tired of being threatened. I knew it over 2 weeks ago. I can't tell my source just like you can't. I'm not trying to take anything away from you. This is not a competition to me. You were definitely partially correct, but not quite a backwards F. The parts that make up the lines to the F are not straight. A backwards anything in Odinisms means the opposite of, but there were 3 left, and the symbols in blood were uploaded online in a very, very evil, dark place. Dark web. Yellow app, across seas and in Georgia, online in a very evil, dark place. I wish I could show who and show pictures, but I had to earn my source's respect. I can't lose it, but you are very close. I'm going to skip over the Purdue professor. Were there other instances during the course of your investigation where were there other instances that you found where Fortson was releasing information that was only privy to defense? Yes. Objection sustained. Let me start where you stopped. So Professor Turco report, the only time that you've seen that is in private discussions between Fortson and Cohen? Yes. So you didn't see it publicly disseminated on the internet? No. And then back to Westerman. Did you you did a report of your investigation? Yes. Is this what we'll call the leak investigation? Yes. And the original report was 33 pages. I don't know exactly how many my actual report was because there's other people involved. If you say the original is 33 pages, then with the attachments, it turned out to be 272 pages. Yes. Now, you place Westerman's affidavit in there that was filed with the court. No, I don't know what you're talking about. You don't think you did? My affidavit, Westerman's affidavit, filed with the court. Yes. So you know that he took photos of stuff, but didn't take the actual stuff, discovery materials. Is that correct? That is correct. And Mr. Baldwin had no knowledge of what he had done. Yes. Hello. Hello.
Oh my God.
You're aware that he took photos of stuff, but not the actual stuff from discovery, correct? And that Mr. Baldwin had no knowledge that he'd done it? Yes. And he did all that without any authority from either Baldwin or Rozzi. That's what he said, yes. And there's no evidence that Baldwin or Rozzi authorized Westerman to share anything. That is correct, yes. Okay. So I'm going to skip ahead some because I want to get to the next essential pages. Okay. We're going to skip ahead a few. Now we're getting to the meat of the matter. Okay. Here we go. You took a recorded statement from Miss Ehenfeld. I did. And she had some pictures. She had pictures on her phone, yes. Did you see them? I did. And did you connect them to any of the other pictures? Yes. Which ones? I don't recall exactly which ones, but it should be in my report that they were once that they were released by Mr. Fortson to Mr. Cohen, and I had her delete them. But she told you she got them from a Tyler Carpenter. Yes. And who is he? I don't know. You could never find him? Nope. Really?
Bruh.
But she got them from a Tyler Carpenter. Yes. And who is he? Jerry Holman. I don't know. You could never find him? No. Red flags? Anybody see red flags? What effort did you make? What's that? What effort did you make to find the source of the photos? Tyler Carpenter. At that time, I talked to the prosecutor, and that time we weren't interested in all the people that had them because we'd already located the source and where they came from. If there was only one source, correct? To my knowledge, yes, there was only one source, but that's your belief. Through my investigation, I've only located one source. Right. Yeah. But so what you had at the point was your belief that Westerman obtained these pictures without permission, correct? Yes. And that he gave them only to one person, Mr. Fortson. Yes. And that Fortson gave them to Cohen and Mr. Bruin. Kyra told you. Kyra. Oh, yeah, I'll get there. So you had no interest in knowing who else had them? Look, number 22. We had a lot of people that had them, and at that point, nobody was releasing them. So we got word out there that there could be potential consequences if they did release them. So after speaking with the prosecutor, well, in all your interviews, you told them the judge was adamant that you find the photos and get them or delete them. Have them deleted, yes. And every person that you did talk to that you identified in the chain, you talked to them about contempt. I'm talking about what? Contempt, yes. So from that, you learned that a Tyler Carpenter allegedly had them. No, Kyra DeBruin. No, who? What? Tyler Carpenter. Tyler Carpenter. I don't know. You just admitted that Mrs. Ehrenfeld told you that she got them from a Tyler Carpenter. Are you saying Tyler? Tyler. Yes. Carpenter. Yes. So what's the confusion? I thought you said Kyra Carpenter. Oh, it was Kyra DeBruin. Why all the confusion, Jerry Holman? Why suddenly you can't understand Tyler Carpenter when we just been talking about Tyler Carpenter? This is distraction techniques. Okay, these are distraction techniques. Kyra, Tyler, Kyra Carpenter. What? After that failed attempt, Hennessy brings it back in tight. He says, okay, and you were charged with getting these photos, but you didn't locate or even attempt to locate Tyler, who allegedly had them because, well, you'd already found out who you believed the source was? Yes. And you made that decision in conjunction with Mr. McClellan? What's that again? You made that decision in conjunction with Mr. McClellan? Yes. I did have a discussion with the McClellan. So Holman. So you and McClellan discussed Tyler Carpenter being the source for Bella in this leak chain? And he says, don't go investigate Tyler? And you choose not to go investigate Tyler? You don't even know who he is? Nothing? And this is the guy that wants the prof dead and Noe in prison for 20 years? And when Miss Ian Felt told you about a screenshot somehow connected to George Nye, do you recall that? Separate investigation. And what was that investigation? Was that not related to leaks? Correct. That investigation, that information she was giving me was not related to leaks. Well, what was that investigation related to? Harassment. Harassment. And then she told you she had sent them to Christina Mack? Yes. And so did you go talk to Christina Mack? No. So she might still have the photos. Well, she hasn't released them, so she's not released them. If she does, well, you haven't seen that she's released them. Correct. You don't know how many people she sent them to. That's correct. And the same with Tyler Carpenter. He might still have them. Yes, sir. And then how many total photos do you believe Westerman took? I don't. So hold on. Christina Mack, best friends forever with McClellan and Holman. Bella, best friend forever with McClellan and Holman. Tyler. So why do we not look at Tyler or Christina Mack? I mean, someone make me understand this. If this crime scene, if this was all a big deal, it was such a big deal that you had to bully Fortson into killing himself. You had to he literally went down the list. Remember, we just read it. He went down the list threatening to arrest every single one he talked to. He's going to arrest Ney. He's going to arrest Cohen. He's going to arrest Kyra De Bruyne. He's going to arrest them all, right? Under threat of arrest. Arrest Fordson. But he doesn't even go and speak with or care to even find even a phone call to Tyler Carpenter or Christina Mack. Does anyone see a problem here? Just a minute. So this is the slide I made at the time. Okay, when all of this was taking place, I made this slide here. But she told you she got them from a Tyler Carpenter. Yes. And who is he? I don't know. You can never find him? Nope. What effort did you make to find the source of the photos? Tyler Carpenter. We weren't interested in all the people. Zero effort to investigate the truth of the leaks. Why stop at Carpenter and Mack? Can someone explain it? Tyler Carpenter, Christina Mack, Big Solves, Ruckus Rocks, Tahara. It sounded familiar. Nick McClellan is my BFF. Nick asked me to delete everything. Getting the defense kicked off was a win. So are you telling me these people, these very people who set up Baldwin and Rozzi, right? Are you telling me these are the same ones who are talking with Vito, Holman, and another that starts with an H, which Charles still won't tell us the name? What's the name, Charles? Remember, we started this show, Delphi Murder in the Troll Farm Conspiracy. Or I should say, Delphi and the Troll Farm Conspiracy to Murder. This is part 2. First part being an inconvenient truth, because this is an inconvenient truth. These people who have a direct connection with Keegan and Tony Klein, Vito, Holman, and another who starts with an H, but Charles won't tell us, who sits right next on the Facebook friend list to Becky Patty and Snaze Mods, they won't investigate Christina Mack, Tyler Carpenter. Tyler Carpenter being the one who's literally attempting to pull the unthinkable. I can't draw attention for the sake of protecting sources and working with law enforcement and Nicholas McClelland.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Plus, I don't want the attention or drama. I own my own consulting business and do fine without it. I don't need money, not doing this for money or attention. It's a fight of good versus evil. I've spoken to Nick for months. This is December. Okay, everybody, for your orientation, the dates are here. This is December 2023. December 2023. I've spoken to Nick for months. He asked for my help, so I helped him. I can't remember if I passed info along to Nick. Getting the defense kicked off was another win. Nick asked me to delete everything. Gray Hughes told me about Fortson in September. When did Fortson die? October. Becky Patty has no idea the stuff I was doing behind the scenes, and I don't care. I never told her. I'm not doing it for that. Get some sleep. Nick is my BFF. Do we all understand the magnitude of what has happened here? The fact that these individuals tied to the prosecutor, the judge, and unified command were behind all of this. They were behind all of the harassment, the death threats, the swatting, the calling of law enforcement on us, the calling of CPS, the sending shit to our homes, the leaking of the crime scene photos, the setting up of the attorneys, the giving Brandon Woodhouse material, okay? The leaking of large amounts of investigative product, and the conspiracy to have Noe put away for 20 years and yours truly murdered. Law enforcement, prosecutor, judge, working in concert with the YouTubers. And no one sees any problem with that? Federal authorities, are you going to allow this in the United States of America at this point in time? If there's not a comprehensive RICO set up to look into all of this, and like I said at the beginning of the show, I mean every single layer of it, the feds need to be disbanded. Because either you're going to be involved in the cover-up or you're going to uncover the cover-up. %90 of this has been documented in the public sphere, here on YouTube, here on Reddit, here on Substack, and other places. We've put this all out on the surface, 90% of it. There's 10% we're withholding for federal authorities. Remember all of the envelopes that have gone out to all of us? Do you realize the layers of crimes that have occurred? Impersonating officers, harassing mailings going to a handful of individuals in this community, the stalking in real life of individuals using bikers, using individuals tied to law enforcement with cameras, with drones, the hacking of devices of email accounts. This is bad. This is bad. Should anything happen to Noe? Should anything happen to Snay? Should anything happen to Adrian, Christina, myself, or anyone else who have received these envelopes? Everybody needs to realize this is all documented on the internet at this point, and the rest that's in our computers or in our iClouds or anywhere in our devices, it's here too. I need a senator. I need attorney generals. I need the federals, right? Homeland Security, field offices. Someone's got to do something about Delphi. The layers of crimes that have been committed are ubiquitous. Something happens to anyone else in this community, everyone needs to lose their minds. And with that, I think we've come to the end of the show. I made my point. I've made this known to many individuals. I forwarded this information in several directions so that it's spread out enough that it won't be buried. Necessary evils accounts needs to be subpoenaed. The various discords need to be subpoenaed. All of these individuals that were named in the past hour need to be subpoenaed. The prosecutor's emails need to be subpoenaed, and his other communications with these YouTubers need to be subpoenaed. Telegram needs to be subpoenaed for every single individual in the Delphi sphere. And there's no doubt about that. So hopefully, anyone who hears this in the sound of my voice will understand what is being said tonight and where the evidence lies. So we ask that you support all of us here in this fight. Whether it be myself or anyone else that you've come to associate with individuals on the receiving end of this. I know myself, as I mentioned, Noe, and Snay. We could all use your support at this time, especially financially. I have attorney's fees. They're adding up because there's a lot they have to do. Noe is going to be rebuilding his life. He's going to need assistance. And Mr. Snay is rebuilding his life. He will need assistance. So I ask this community to put your money where your mouth is. Help us all out in the ways that you can, and also help spread this information. If you have connections with senators, lawyers, politicians, talk about this aspect of the case, talk about Anthony Schatz, and talk about the connections here and all of the questions with the law enforcement prosecution that has gone on in the past years since Richard Allen's arrest. All of this needs to be discussed with powerful people. And if you're on a replay, please leave comments down below. I'm anxious to hear what you have to say. Spread this information. Share this with people who care. If you have YouTube channels, especially if you have YouTube channels with a far reach, spread this information. Clip this. Share it. Send it to those who you know. How much more has to happen before something is done about this? I'll quote Andy Baldwin. Is anybody going to do anything about this? I want to thank everybody that was here for the live stream. Truly appreciate your attendance. It's been encouraging to see the chat going by. I haven't really read it much, but I see everyone in there. I appreciate your support every time I come on. You're always the same ones here every single time. So I'll go out like that. I'll thank you all, and then we'll be out of here. And I wish you a happy Friday night and a great weekend. And hopefully we'll see you next week. Okay. Anyhow, I want to shout out to Critter Mama, Yotan Yeager, Miss Piecrust, Laura Beth Naran, Untamable, Nicole Watt, Court of Public Opinion, Trash Magics, Matt Payton, Love and Light for All, Dark Arts by Adrian, Heavy Metal Rehab, Jennifer McIntyre, who else was here? Swade Smith. I'll get back a bit. Necessary Evil, My Biz 7526, Goddess. And David Rogers, special thanks. Hello, sir. Also, Rebecca Ann, Deb, CJ Laz, and Mr. Mark Ellis for the support. Thank you, Mark Ellis, and Rebecca and Deb, CJ Laz, and thank you, everyone else. And if I missed your name, please just let me know that you're here on the way out. Oh, thank you, Christina. Christina's here. Thank you to everyone. Carol, and please do check out my link tree. I don't know if one of the mods will post my link tree with a clean link for the link tree. Anyone wanting to contact me, please check out the link tree. You'll find everything you need in there. You'll have my email address, my other platforms, as well as my support pathways. So please do connect with me through my link tree and send me an email, especially if you're going to whistleblow or have any more additional information. Okay? And finally, God bless the United States of America, and God bless Libby and Abby. Okay? We do appreciate you. Happy Friday night again. We'll see you soon.
Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. so patient, I'm going places, can't fake it. My heart is so cold, my energy is contagious. All the pain, I can't take it. I'm staying grounded and graceful, cause I know everything that I've been through only made me count my blessings daily. Yeah, they been acting shady, but I don't take it personal. The memories fading, I'm enjoying the moment. I've been smelling the roses, taking time to reflect, stepping back, the truth unfolding, unfolding. Got nothing to prove, cause I'm not the blow. I've been in the booth, speaking to my soul. You know that I'm true, either way it go, either way it goes. I cannot turn cold, staying on the low. I've been protecting my soul. If your intentions are not pure, I can't let you get too close, cause I'm vibrating high. Ain't got time for your ego, these niggas quit to turn their back. Acting like the amigos, they never cared in the shows. Wasn't with you at your lows, assuming that you gonna fold. But baby, I've been growing ever since I let you go. And I've been doing better, and I know that hurts to know. Hurts to know. Only good vibes around me, and that's for sure. Only good vibes, good vibes. Good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes. Good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. Can't lie. Only need good vibes, good vibes. Good vibes, good vibes. You see me searching for my inner peace. I've been learning more about myself and my purpose. Truth always come to the surface. Was hurting, but
Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
Bruh.